All right, guys, today we are going to look at using algodoo, and what I want to kind of talk about here is how to create objects, how to change the properties of the objects. We want to learn how to remove sliding friction, how to remove air friction, otherwise known as drag, and how to actually plot the motion of the objects. So let's get over and let's start. So we're going to do, the first thing is we're going to start by making an object. I'm going to make a simple box. So I'm going down here and I click and I can make a box as you see here. There are some other tools that allow you to move this around. I'm going to move it down here, just place it on the ground. And I mean, it's pretty much that simple. Next off, I want to show you how to change the object's properties. So if I come over to the object itself and I right click on it, I get a menu that pops up. So down here under it's under material, there's a bunch of different properties I can change. I can select from the materials themselves, and as you can see, it's going to change some of the things here. And so these are kind of some presets that we have in here. I'm not really that concerned about any one of these, but pretty much these would have different kind of things there. So we can change the properties through this. Next, I want to show you how to remove friction. So one thing you could say is, well, let's look at ice. And ice does have a very low amount of friction, as you notice here, but it's not exactly zero. There still is a little bit amount of friction. So basically, I can just take this slider and slide it down to zero. And I can do this with any of the objects, actually, with any materials. I just drag it down to zero. All right, so to remove friction, I'm gonna do that. Now, it's important to note that this ice or this object is sliding against this ground. So I'm actually gonna have to change the properties here as well. So if I right click on that one and I go to the material, I'm gonna need to remove the friction from that as well. So whenever an object interacts with another object, if one of them has friction, then there will be friction that will result anyway. The next thing we're going to learn how to do is to turn off air friction. And actually, I want to show you how also to adjust it. So down here, this is the one that says turn off air friction. And I basically can click it. And it's that simple. That's just turned it off. But I want to double click on it once and show you some things in here. Basically, you can, again, adjust things by using the slider. This is how the program calculates it. Basically, what we can do here is, if you want to add more friction in, more air resistance, you can raise this multiplier up. In fact, you can raise any of these things up if you like. But pretty much, you can go ahead and slide these up if you want to make it really have a lot of air resistance versus having not a lot. So that might be something that you can play with as well. And then lastly, what I wanted to show you was how to make a graph of something. So what I'm going to do is, once again, I'm going to go to the object itself. I'm going to right click on it, and there's an option here called show plot. Pretty much this brings up a graph that I'm going to just drag over here to the corner. And what I can do is I can make a graph of pretty much anything. So let me just make a Y position, in other words, up and down, versus time. It's going to be on our x-axis. And as long as the simulation is not running, nothing is going to record here. As soon as I start to record, however, it is going to start to record the plot. Now, if I take this and I move it around, you'll see that I've just raised it up, and that's, of course, made the Y position bigger. In other words, I've increased its height. I can then drop it, and you can see, of course, it does lessen as well. So we have learned how to create objects. We've learned how to change an object's property. We've learned how to remove sliding friction and adjust it to different degrees. We have learned how to remove air friction and drag, and again, vary it by a variety of degrees. And we've learned how to make graphical